The sunshine is so beautiful this morning. I am enjoying spring so very much. I'm going to head up to Camp Squatternesh and sit and have a little Wellness Wednesday chat with you guys. Hey friends, welcome back to another Wellness Wednesday video. So, of course, I just got back from KetoCon last week, and you go to an event like that and you get really motivated to make changes and to try something new and, just double down on things. I had already before that been thinking about it was time to try some things and to do something a little bit different. And then, of course, I didn't want to try to start anything right before the trip. So now that I'm home, I'm getting settled back into the routine. I'm ready to jump into some things and just see what happens. So about a year and a half ago, I decided that I was ready to jump into weight loss mode again. With my journey, I found that there's a very distinct difference between just regular baseline diet eating and losing weight. When you have a lot of weight to lose and you're just getting started on your journey, oftentimes just moving to a healthier diet or starting keto, eating keto, it comes with weight loss. But what I found for me and what I've seen with a lot of other people is that doesn't last forever. And so you can get yourself to the point of eating a very healthy diet and balanced diet with all the nutrients and, lowering the carbs to the level that you can tolerate, all those things. And just eating that healthy diet doesn't automatically cause more weight loss. And for some people, just making that change to the healthy diet, that gets them all the way to their goal. And then they're able to maintain and life is all sunshine and roses. But for a lot of people, especially women, I have found that their bodies just don't want to let go of that last, 10, 20, 30 pounds, sometimes even more. And you can just eat the healthiest diet with all these perfect macros, and your body just doesn't really want to let go of that last bit of weight. And so for me, I found that if I want to try to lose weight, I have to intentionally go into a weight loss phase. And that can be really tricky because especially when you're trying to get those last few pounds off, it can be really difficult. And sometimes, only extreme measures get the scale moving, and those extreme measures can backfire and, cause you to rebound and mess up your hormones. And there's all kinds of issues that happen. And we see this all the time in the dieting world. So I have tried really hard to be extremely thoughtful and slow and careful. Used to be when I was dealing more with body image stuff and the whole mental side of it, I'd feel like I just had to jump into something as fast as I could. And like I was desperate. It was, it was kind of almost felt like a life or death thing, even though I knew in my head it wasn't, but my body, felt that I have to get this weight off or, something terrible. Now that I'm a lot more healthy, both physically and mentally, I know that I need to take it slow. And I know that those super extreme measures, the starvation measures, they don't last. They can get the scale moving, but oftentimes they don't last and they, cause rebound and all kinds of other issues. So I try to be extremely careful, extremely intentional, extremely slow in making any decisions, as well as listening to my body through the process. So I try really hard not to. Well, there's a lot of challenges and diets out there that are just you just have to focus, you just have to not cheat, and there's no wiggle room for listening to your body. So for me, I try to have goals, and I try to not let myself, just talk myself out of it if I'm not feeling like it for that one day. But at the same time, I want to listen to my body and make adjustments if my body is telling me that this is not working. So like I said, a year and a half ago, I went into weight loss mode and I kind of stayed there for 3 to 4 months, I believe. And I lost about 20 pounds, which was great. And I kept off about 10 of those pounds. So when I went back to eating normally or, not incorporating the lean days like I was doing, my weight kind of over like a couple of months, jumped up that 10 pounds, and then it's maintained for like the last year. The sun keeps moving and I'm trying to keep it out of my face. Okay, so I maintained that 10-pound weight loss for like the last year, eating my regular diet the way that I've shown on my What I Eat in a Day videos over the last year. That has helped me maintain my weight, which is fantastic. I've been really happy with that because what I have focused on the last year is gut health. If you've watched me for a little bit, you know my journey trying to deal with SIBO and trying to figure out my nutrient absorption issues and all of that. So I've really been focused on that and put weight loss on the back burner. And I feel like I've gotten to a really good place with my gut health. I can't say I have everything figured out as far as nutrients and all of that, but I feel like I'm ready to see if I can drop some weight again. I am technically still overweight as far as the BMI scales go, which I know is not super helpful, but I do feel like I have some excess fluff to lose. And like I always do when I feel that way is I try to make some tweaks and make some changes and see if my body is on board. If I make some tweaks and changes to try to lose weight and my body responds with, hunger and cravings and my schmeck being out of check, that I haven't talked about in quite a while, so I should probably revisit that. But that's something from Dr. Jade Teta. Schmeck is sleep, hunger, energy, mood, and cravings. And that's a good gauge to know if hormonally you're in check or out of check. If any or all of those are messed up, it means that whatever you're doing probably isn't gonna last. You're kind of messing up your hormones. So with these changes, I will be listening to my body. I will be making adjustments and seeing if my body's on board. If it's not on board, I will change things up for sure. I have definitely found in my diet and weight loss experience thus far, if my body is not on board with it, I am wasting my time and probably getting myself into a worse state than when I started. So I try to be really, really careful not to push my body in a direction it doesn't want to go. But then there are times where my body is ready to drop weight. And so like if I do the little push of, different tweaks and things, it's like the weight just drops off. So I know pretty quickly when I start making tweaks, what state I'm in. So I will be, keeping an eye on it and making changes as needed. So the big question, what am I going to do to try to get back into weight loss mode? And I've already put it in the title, so you have an idea. It's going to be actually very similar to what I did a year and a half ago, because far and away, that has been the most effective way for me to drop weight. Now, I can eat a healthy diet, a very high fat, healthy diet, and feel good like I have been for the last year. But that is not something that allows my body in the place that it is to drop body fat. In order for my body to drop body fat, what I have found is that I have to lower the fat in my diet, lower the fat that I consume. And I know that that is controversial in the keto carnivore space right now. And I really struggled with making the decision to do this and making the decision to share about it, because there are a lot of people, a lot of very smart people that warn against this approach, and for very good reason, because it is a tool that does help people lose weight. And tools that are effective in helping people lose weight can be abused and are often abused. And we probably have all seen examples of people who have used this kind of approach in a wrong way and in a way that ended up being unhealthy. But just because it can be abused, I don't think we should throw it away as not a tool that should be utilized. I think there's a right way and a wrong way to do it, just like there's a right way and a wrong way to do keto, right way and a wrong way to do carnivore, right way and a wrong way to fast. Obviously, you can do a lot of damage to your body by fasting in the wrong way, but we don't just throw away the idea of fasting because there is a way to abuse it. So for those of you that didn't follow me a year and a half ago and you don't know what approach I'm talking about, basically, I think I'm going to start calling it fat cycling. because when you say things like protein sparing modified fast or lean days, it doesn't assume that there are also high fat times. And a lot of people criticize those kind of approaches because they say it's too low fat, it's too low calorie, you won't be getting enough fat to have healthy hormones, blah, 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 all of that. And all of that is assuming that you're eating that lean way all the time. But that's not what this approach is about. And honestly, I don't know of any doctor or nutritionist or diet guru that recommends eating a protein sparing modified fast or a lean days all of the time, except for maybe vegans that are very anti-fat. But they're not high protein, so it wouldn't be the same thing. So this approach, cycling in lean days, assumes that there are other days, and probably more other days, where you're eating high fat. So I would never recommend doing lean days like I'm going to be doing back to back for extended period of time. I never ever do that. If I have a lean day, I will always have at least one regular high fat keto day after that. So I do get confused by people who talk about this approach saying it's too low fat, because the assumption behind it is always that they're eating this way all the time. But I could also say fasting is too low fat. And of course, we know that that's ridiculous because we know that we don't fast all the time. Obviously, if we did, it would be too low fat and low everything else and would be unhealthy. So same way with these lean days. Yes, if you ate that way all of the time, it would be too low fat. You have to listen to your body to know if it's working for you and to know how often you're able to do leaner days, and really if it's the right approach for you, because for some people it is not. Some people really need the super high fat to keep their hormones in balance all of the time. I have found when I have done the lean days before, where I did every other day, a lean day and then a fat day. I've done it a couple of times a week for periods of time. I've never experienced any kind of hormonal dysfunction. I've never had amenorrhea. I've never had any of those hormonal cues to say that this was not a good approach for me. So basically what it looks like for me, and I don't call it protein sparing modified fast because the original protein sparing modified fast is 600 to 800 calories of primarily protein in a day. And I have never done a lean day where I had that few of calories. I do continue to eat to hunger on my lean days. I think that's really important for me and for my hormonal health. And usually when I eat to hunger and choose all of those leaner foods, I tend to eat somewhere between 1,000 and 1,400 calories per day. So it's definitely not as low as a protein sparing modified fast, which is why I don't call it that. Although the foods that I eat are the same kinds of foods that you would eat on a protein sparing modified fast. Typically my fat is, somewhere from 30 to 40 grams in a day. So still getting some fat in order to, absorb the fat soluble vitamins and all that good stuff. And then on my regular eating days, I'm eating all the fat, all the butter, all the, fatty meat and all the cheese and things like that. And I do think that cycling the calories puts you in a better place as far as not letting your body get used to it and down regulate your metabolism. When you are having those higher calorie, 2,400 calorie days, your body gets to relax. So I do think, and this is just my thoughts and my hypothesis, that cycling the calories like that in the long run for me is going to be better than just going to a 1,600 calorie a day diet forever. My plan right now is to try to do 3 lean days a week and just see how I do, and then I'll adjust as needed. I also wanted to throw in here one of the other criticisms of this kind of approach is that it's unnatural and that in nature you don't get protein without fat. And that is true to an extent, although there are a lot of lean proteins out there, like fish and things like that. But I also think it's not very natural to only eat chicken wings and not eat chicken breast, or only eat ribeyes and not eat tenderloin, or only eat bacon and not eat the pork loin. Like, there are lean cuts on animals. And so while I recognize that it would not be natural to throw away the fatty cuts and only eat the lean cuts, I also don't think it's natural to throw away the lean cuts and only eat the fatty cuts. So I feel like the cycling approach, where you have certain times where you eat the higher fat pieces and certain times where you eat the lower fat pieces, I think it qualifies as pretty natural. Now, obviously, egg white powder and making egg white bread, that's, processing. So I'm not saying that you would, go find egg white powder in the wild, but just the idea of it, where you have times where you eat leaner and times where you eat fattier, kind of similar to like famine times versus feasting times. I think those kinds of cycles are extremely natural in, human history. And just like with fasting and feasting, it can be extremely healthful and, provide some really great benefits for your health. So the last time I did this, I actually also went dairy free. So I have been really curious to find out if I have the same kinds of results or it goes as well, while still including dairy. So that is definitely something I'm going to keep an eye on. Like, if my hunger is not as controlled as the last time, it might be that dairy is stimulating my appetite a little bit. So that will be really interesting to see. Also, since I've done so much work on my gut, I can handle a lot more foods like, veggies and salads, raw foods and stuff like that. So I think it'll be interesting to try to incorporate more of those, especially on lean days. I mean, being able to have veggies is great for a lean day. And also, when I did lean days before, I did not have a CGM. Now I have my NutriSense CGM. And so I'm really curious to see what my blood sugar does in response. Some people will say if you eat too much protein, your body will turn it to sugar and it'll, bump your glucose. And so I'm really curious to see if my average glucose changes or if I have any kinds of spikes or anything like that after my lean days. So lots of really interesting stuff, and I will just keep you guys updated on the journey. And I always like to throw in that I could change my mind next week. Like I said, I listen to my body. If my body gives me the cues that it's not tapping into body fat, because if you do lean days or protein sparing modified fast and your body is resistant to tapping into your stored body fat, you will be only running on, those few calories. So that's when you can, start having issues. But if your body is primed to start tapping into your body fat, you're not just running on that 1,200 calories or 1,000 calories. You are running on the 1,000 calories plus what your body is pulling from your body fat. So you have to listen to your body. And if you're getting all the hunger and cravings and, you're hormonally messed up, it's probably a sign that your body is not tapping into your stored body fat. And you need to make some tweaks in order to get your body to tap into those stores a little bit more efficiently. So I am definitely not recommending this to anyone, just sharing my experience. And if you find value in following along, that makes me happy. I do enjoy sharing. So anyways, that is the plan. I will be doing some what I eat in 2 days videos again. I did those 1.5 years ago, and a lot of people enjoyed that. So showing a lean day as well as a regular high fat day. I never want to show just a lean day in isolation because people will think that that's how I eat all the time. And I just want to make it super, super crystal clear that this is just a tool. Like you would use fasting as a tool and you would not do it all the time. Doing lean days is a tool to get your body to possibly tap into its own body fat for fuel. And that's not the way that you eat all the time. All right, so that is it for my Wellness Wednesday. I hope you guys are all doing great, and I will see you again in the next one.